I would think that they would, in turn, go to the aid of Iran and protect them. And that might involve nuclear weapons, especially if Israel uses them. And if Israel uses nuclear weapons, Israel will be a parking lot, a very deep one. They'll wipe them right off the face of the earth. They're not going to be able to stop their missiles. And sure, Russia's going to get hit. China will get involved. They'll hit the U.S. West Coast. I mean, people just don't understand that these things are going to become reality if the Illuminists keep on pushing the way that they are. And it's a big loser for them. There's no way they can win. Period. And that means us. So if you live in New York or Philadelphia or Boston or Miami or Chicago or Phoenix or Atlanta or Houston and San Francisco, there's a good chance you'll be roasted, toasted, whatever. I mean, this is where this whole thing is headed. And it's one way of the Illuminists of extricating themselves. They think they're going to be able to survive the whole thing by being in their secret shelters and all this stuff. It isn't going to happen. Half the people or more in the world will get wiped out. And so that's where the whole thing's headed. And why is it headed in that direction? Because they've gone ahead and tried to control everything in a structure called one world government, and they've failed again. And they know that this time they're going to be taken out and hung or shot or whatever. And they figure, well, if that's what's going to happen, we're going to pull the trigger on a third world war or a fourth world war, whatever you want to call it. And that's where this whole thing's headed. Guaranteed. If you can't stop them, I told you how to stop them. It's the only legal way to do it. If it doesn't work, forget it.
This question is, none of the aides to Timothy Geithner have faced the public scrutiny given to Senate-confirmed appointees, despite earning massive sums from Wall Street firms, nor are they required to testify in U.S. Congress to defend or explain the Treasury's actions. This Geithner's kitchen cabinet has helped oversee the nation's $700 billion banking rescue.
The whole thing is described by the word incestual. It's as simple as that. They're all crooks in $3,000 suits, and they steal from the public every day. They either do it through the Treasury Department or their appointees throughout the government, Team A and Team B, or they do it in industry, or they do it on Wall Street or in banking. They're all crooks. I talked to somebody the other day who happened to get to know Caspar Weinberger's son. And this individual who was in contact with me, and he got to know his son very well. He said all about what we talk about in the program, the Illuminati, things like that. And he said, "Is that all true?" And his son said, "Absolutely." So there you got it. I don't think Caspar's with us any longer, is he?
I might get him. He was up there. I don't know. Much is being said about bank failures, bank absorption, and FDIC being broke. How are the credit unions faring in relationship to the current banking problems? This isn't from Larry.
Depends. If you have a large concentration in certain industries or industry, then you've got a problem. If they have a problem. Let's say a credit union that was servicing automobile workers, they get serious problems. But if you have a credit union that was servicing a large periphery of people who work for a large number of different companies, then you're not as exposed. That's obvious. But I can't answer it in total because I never get those figures, and it's up to people who are at credit unions to ask about their financial condition and ask how much CDOs do you have, collateralized debt obligations. Let me see a balance sheet. Where are they on here? Some of them have none. Some of them have lots. So it's an individual thing, and it's really a question I can't answer because I don't know. And the only way you're going to find out, I did have one or two people investigate, and the two credit unions, and I can't remember the names of them, they both did have CDOs, but they made up like 10 or 15% of their investments. It wasn't good, but it wasn't that bad. And it's not like, B of A and Wells Fargo and so on that are holding gobs of them. So.
Well, here the second part to this question is, do you know anything about the NCUA, who administers the National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund? Are they broke too?
I don't know.
Okay.
And I think, again, you're going to have to investigate that on your own, because I just don't get any information on it. If I did, I'd certainly be passing it on in the publication or be able to answer your questions. So please do me a favor. If you've got time, find out and let us know. Even if it's a long explanation, we'll read it on the radio. And I will print it in the International Forecaster. That's what it's for. We get some great letters from people.
Would it be, he wants to know if it's possible if you could give a little more detailed discussion on SDRs, basically the history of these rights, also how they may affect financial markets and gold and silver in the future. He lives in Canada and he does business in the U.S. and also in Canada. What would be the negative ramifications for Canadians?
Well, it'll affect everybody equally. It's an equal opportunity disaster. They were created in 1965, and they were created to stop the move of the increase in the price of gold. They come into their first being, so to speak, between 68 and 72. And nobody was really interested in using them. They were used and then they were abandoned. And the U.S. government didn't drop the gold backing on the dollar until August 15th, 1971. And so that had a lot to do with the creation of the special drawing right. And what happened was, as I said, they used them and then they didn't use them and they fell into disuse. Now they're bringing them back. They're another fiat currency that one of the most unsuccessful quasi-governmental institutions has ever come up with. The IMF is a loser. All they did was act as an enforcer for private interests that were owed money by companies and countries for work that they had performed or equipment that they had sold to these companies within countries and countries themselves. And that really was the job of the IMF. And what they would do is they would go in and they'd say, oh, you got to do this, 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 and this, which worked out to be you got to go into austerity. You got to destroy your economy to make sure these people get paid. That's really the bottom line. They are losers. And it won't last long. Maybe a couple of years, maybe 3. and then the whole thing's going to collapse anyway, so they don't care.
Well, wouldn't the SDRs be similar to like back in the Weimar Republic? I mean, after their initial currency went, people lost confidence, they came out with another one, and wouldn't this kind of be just trying to instill more confidence in world currencies, so to speak, in a general?
Yes, that's true. And also to impede the progress, if possible, of gold.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was unsuccessful. And it will be unsuccessful again. They can't stop this thing now. They don't have enough gold to do it. I mean, look what's going on. It's only a matter of time before SLV